Barcelona new star, Chutian's legendary rise begins. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 111, The Soul of Barca? Barca only has money and no soul. Barca dressing room. Chutian was preparing to change his clothes. In this game, as a substitute, he played less than 25 minutes, played very easily, and did not sweat. Messi walked over and said gently, "You are still in good shape today. If you don't play, our game will become very difficult." Chutian smiled. Messi continued, regarding the terms of the contract proposed by the club's top brass. He saw that Chutian's expression was very calm. Messi hesitated, temporarily abandoning the advice to the young man of Yenwa. Enrique came to the scene of the post-match press conference. Before he could sit down, the reporters rushed up excitedly. "Mr. Enrique, I am a journalist for Land Sports. Barca have won 2 consecutive Champions League group stages, and are currently the first in Group E, and the advantage of qualifying is great. What do you think of the subsequent matches?" Enrique smiled. "We also have an opponent, Borisov, who beat Bayern 2 years ago on the snowy pitch." The crowd laughed. He continued, "We will value every opponent and we will also value the second leg back at home, against Roma, Bayer Leverkusen. Our goal is to qualify as the first place in the group." A reporter squeezed away the crowd and rushed to ask, "Mr. Enrique, I am a reporter for the World Sports newspaper. Chutian came off the bench in this game and helped Barca complete a big reversal of the score, but he has been pressed on the bench by you before. Are you instructed by the Barca executives?" Followed by, other reporters also asked questions. "What do you think of the overlord clause proposed by Barca's top brass against the teenagers of Yenwa? Do you have anything to say about the Barcelona contract scandal, Mr. Enrique?" Sharp questions were thrown out. Enrique's face was gloomy. "Turn around and leave." Chutian was preparing to board the club bus to the airport. "Didi." The phone rang. Chutian pressed the switch button. Immediately came the laughter of Mino Raiola. "Chutian, you rarely answer the phone so timely. And I see your wonderful performance on TV again. You came down like God to save the dying Barcelona. On the issue of the contract with Barca, I have a good proposal. We can press the transfer and play for another year. You know, UEFA's policy now does not allow new players traded in the winter window to participate in that season's Champions League matches." Chutian was slightly stunned. UEFA policy? He remembered, in 2018, UEFA issued a new policy that allowed each European club to trade 3 players in the winter window to participate in that season's Champions League matches. It's 2015. UEFA stipulates that 1 player can only play in the Champions League for 1 club in a season. Chutian has already played for Barca in the Champions League group stage. If he transfers, nor will it be able to play in the Champions League for new owners. Next, La Masia building. Barca's top brass called an emergency meeting. The leak of the overlord clause, as well as the highlight performance of the light country teenager in the Champions League. They had to meet to discuss coping strategies. 2 hours later, Barca sporting director Robert walked out. Rasha stepped forward excitedly and asked, "Hey, Robert, what happened to the high-level deliberations?" Robert shook his head and walked aside on Roth's shoulder. He whispered, "Shoo, the results are out, don't say it." Roche laughed. "We've been working together for over a decade. You should trust me," Robert said seriously. "The result, of course, is to amend the contract, increase the annual salary, reduce the liquidated damages, the issue of the right to develop the portrait name. I want to meet with Chutian's agent." Luo Shou shrugged his shoulders and said angrily, "This is the result of 2 hours of deliberation among the high-level people? You know, how fierce are the journalists and Barca fans who protested downstairs today? I also got scolded by them." Robert hurriedly advised, "You go to the training ground and appease Chutian, otherwise if he strikes, those reporters and fans will protest again." Luo Shou was displeased. "Our Yenwa genius is very hardworking. He's training every day. Never rest." Moments later, first team training ground. Luo Shou found the sweaty Yenwa teenager. He said gently, "Chutian, I am not here to persuade you. The practice of the Barca executives is also very annoying to us old employees. I just want to convey to you the news that the Barca executives have decided to revise the terms of your contract, increase your annual salary, reduce the liquidated damages, and as for the 80% portrait development rights, they will also talk to you and Mr. Mino." Chutian nodded. Since his first day at Barcelona, Rasio has taken good care of his life and does not tell lies. But, he remembered, the fate of Suarez and Messi later. When Suarez was purged by Barca's top brass, he was expelled from the club without any written notice and just a cold phone call. Later, he went to Atletico and still killed everyone. He helped Atletico win La Liga. The moment you win the championship. Facing the camera, Suarez sat on the lawn looking dejected. "What has always bothered me is that the Barca executives say that I am too old to stay at Barca. But my performance is not as they say. They drove me away without mercy, even though I once helped the club win so many titles. Barca expelled me, and the horse opened the door for me." Chutian recalled that picture. It's a little complicated. He has already represented Barca in the Champions League group stage, and UEFA has a registration record. If transferred, it would lose this season's Champions League opportunities. After the end of the training, Chutian walked out of the training ground, carrying a bag. Saw Mino Raiola standing next to a commercial vehicle. The short fat man smiled with a smile on his face. Chutian, the stupid Barca executives have contacted me again. In addition to the change of the contract, they have also taken precautions, and the Barca club does not want you to go in vain now. A few old friends have come over, and I suggest you meet them. Half an hour later, a private restaurant in the city center. Chutian met Real Madrid's chief scout, Carafat. The Real Madrid scout did not have too many greetings, and went straight to the point. Chutian, you should join Real Madrid. Ronaldo, Bale, Modric are all bullish on you. You will definitely be able to integrate into the dressing room. Real Madrid can guarantee your starting position. The conditions we offer will definitely not be lower than Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain. Everyone knows how many sky-high transfers Real Madrid have set. You're still young, you've had a long career, and qualifying for this Champions League is nothing. Real Madrid is willing to wait for you. Mino Raiola laughed. Galactic battleship of the new age. Attractive new age galactic battleship? Chutian nodded and did not give an answer immediately. No one can refuse Real Madrid. No one can end up at Real Madrid. But Real Madrid's approach to old players is not as ruthless as the Barca hierarchy. Florentino is the purest manager. The equivalent exchange was his credo. Every time an old player leaves, the club prepares a grand farewell ceremony. In terms of annual salary and liquidated damages, portrait development rights, it will not be difficult for any player. Chutian, Real Madrid will wait for you to join. Finish that sentence. Caliphate turned and left. Moments later, Manchester United's chief scout, Jim Lawler, came over. Mino Raiola smiled and said, "Please sit down, Jim, my old friend." The short fat man did not hesitate to say, "In these 2 or 3 seasons, your Manchester United post-Ferguson era, there is only money left. What are you going to use to impress the genius of Yenwa?" Manchester United under Moyes and Van Gaal have set a record for how many teams have been shamed. Jim Lawler shook his head and said confidently, "Sir Alex Ferguson has found the president of our club and he says Chutian is the cornerstone of United's revival." Chutian was able to lead Manchester United out of the trough. The short fat man smiled and did not smile. "My players are not less oppressed by Van Gaal. Louis Van Gaal is United's current manager." Jim Lawler looked a little embarrassed. "Louis Van Gaal will leave the team soon, and we are willing to build a new squad with Chutian as the core." "Mr. Mino, United want to be able to negotiate Pogba's transfer with you at the same time. Talented midfielders like Chutian and Pogba, Manchester United want to have. In the coming seasons, Manchester United have a grand vision and we are also in touch with Jose Mourinho's agent. Manchester United and the Premier League's business operations will not be lost to Real Madrid." Mino Raiola's eyes lit up. "Mourinho? He was able to win the Champions League with Porto that year. But he's now Chelsea manager." Jim Lawler blushed. "He himself does not know. I am in preliminary negotiations with his agent Mendes." Chutian thought about it. Manchester United are among the most powerful clubs in Europe. They were the first team in European history to be crowned triple crowned and one of the winners of the European Trophy, Grand Slam. In the past life, Moyes and Van Gaal's Manchester United, it was really miserable. Except for Mourinho, who later took over, he helped Manchester United win a Europa League title and never won a single trophy. United are not short of money. Each year, 000 transfer periods are heavily invested. However, the performance is still falling seriously. It has led to countless tragedies, with big scores. Let Mourinho bring it, and it can only be brought to the second place in the Premier League. This is the best result of Manchester United in the post-Ferguson era. Mino Raiola sent Chutian back to the first-team dormitory. The little assistant looked puzzled and said, "So many giant clubs have thrown olive branches. Why didn't Chutian make a decision quickly?" The short fat man pondered for a moment and said, "Maybe it is UEFA's regulations. This choice is very difficult. Chutian wants to lift the trophy of the European Championship." Episode 112. The Great Luo Bell swings over. Catalan Derby starts. Chutian returned to the first team's dormitory. The system's tone sounds again. Ding, the host's current remaining match points are 16. You can open the big wheel of the lottery. Chutian woke up to this. He hadn't turned on the system during this time, and he hadn't noticed the number of game points at all. Lottery, ding, in the lottery. Congratulations to the host. Get the Big Luo Clock Pendulum Man Module Fragment ×1. The Big Luo Clock has swung over. It's a real stunt. This is the most perverted move. Let countless goalkeepers become background boards. Except for De Luo, there is no second person who can do it at high speed. The pendulum has high requirements for the player's lower limbs, waist and abdomen strength, skill and balance. Only De Luo can swing the clock at high speed without reducing speed. After passing the person, you can go further, speed up. Same. This extraordinary action is very dangerous. Extremely damaging to the body. especially the knee area. One of De Luo's most serious injuries was a rupture of the cruciate ligament when the pendulum passed. The cruciate ligament is the thickest ligament in the human body. After being seriously injured, De Luo's strength declined seriously, but he was still the first striker at the time with his retirement. The pendulum of the clock, he became a masterpiece. Chutian looked at the panel, and this time seemed to ignore a magic skill. Injury, immune physique. The more skills you master. This shows the importance of this magic trick: passivity. The twisting force of the Bay's arc full moon curved knife is easy to hurt the supporting foot. Batistuta heavy artillery long-range shots and Carlos's powerful free kicks also hurt the power foot. Injury, immune physique. The effect made Chutian immune to the side effects of all skills. If Chutian could learn to swing the bell, then the damage to the knee by this skill will also be absent. Chutian took a look at the system mall. The price of the Great Luo Bell pendulum fragments has changed. The price of 999 match points has become 0/3 of the number of match points. After getting the first shard, you only need to play 3 more games to get the second shard. Ding! After the host lottery obtains the first shard of the Superstar module, the subsequent shards need to be obtained through the number of matches. Chutian immediately freely distributed the 4 points accumulated in these days of training. All in speed, current speed, 81, fast enough. In order to attack, rely on the running position to receive the ball in time to form a single knife. After forming a single knife, the pendulum is insoluble. The next morning, today is Saturday, and it's one of the most wonderful match days for Barca fans. Barca will face Espanyol tonight at 1900 hours local time. Catalan Derby, La Masia building. Enrique came to the office of the Barcelona sports director. He said seriously, "I hope that the club executives can restore Chutian's team training and competition qualifications. Barca need Chutian very much." Not too surprised, Robert said cheerfully, "The top brass will agree." This does not mean that the top brass have made concessions to the Yenwa boy. Enrique, when you made Chutian a substitute in the Champions League group stage, you angered the club's top brass, but Chutian eventually helped Barca win. Now the terms of our contract with Yenwa boy are being renegotiated, and if pressure is put on him, journalists and fans will crowd the La Masia building. After a day of in-team training, in the evening, Chutian and his teammates boarded a bus to the El Prat Stadium. They will be on the road, taking on Espanyol. How close are Barca's home stadiums to Espanyol's home stadiums? Less than 15 minutes away. The same city derby in Catalonia is about to start. In the eyes of Barca fans, Espanyol is the dirtiest team, Chutian recalled. Messi's classic foot on the ankle of Espanyol goalkeeper Lopez happened this season. From the replay, Lopez got up to look at Messi and then deliberately stepped on it. Countless media and fans denounced it. This is a wasted action. The two teams have competed over the past decade. A total of 180 yellow cards and 12 red cards appeared, more cards than the national derby. The two teams have a century-old feud. Barca's emblem contains Catalan elements. The Spanish insignia is the crown bestowed upon them by the Matador King. On the bus, Iniesta cautioned, "You have to be careful of their two backs, Diop and Haldane, who are the dirtiest bullies against Barca and swend like gentlemen against Real Madrid." Chutian couldn't help but be amused. Every season in the past season, when Barca and Real Madrid were fighting for the final stage of the league title, the Spaniards would give Real Madrid a big gift. Yenwa player Wenlei later joined Espanyol. Moments later, Barca's coach came to the El Prat Stadium. Even though Espanyol limited the number of tickets for Barca fan seats, there were still many Barca fans outside the stadium, holding up posters of Chutian and Messi, shouting wildly, "CTV5, CTV5. Good evening to the audience, welcome to the 5th round of La Liga, Barca vs Espanyol. I'm Duan Xian, the commentator of this game. Let me introduce the starting lineups of both teams. Barca still adopted the most commonly used 4-3-3 formation. Goalkeeper, Ter Stegen. Defenders, Alba, Pique, Mascherano, Alves. Midfielders, Busquets, Iniesta, Chutian. The barrage in the live broadcast room began to brush the screen wildly. Chutian finally made his debut. If Chutian doesn't start again, I'll turn around. Winter window transfer period, come soon. Welcome to Chelsea. Chutian. Hand in hand with Mourinho. Help Abu take another Champions League. The transfer period is coming soon. But not to Chelsea. Should come to us in Liverpool. Uncle Scum also likes Chutian. Should come to us Real Madrid. And Modric to form a dual core. We have Verratti in Greater Paris. He is Pirlo's successor. Best for Harvey's successor. It's good to go anywhere. Chutian, if you want to stay in Barcelona again. I'm going to go black. The referee blew the game's whistle. Barca took the lead in kicking off. Suarez sent back Chutian. The moment Chutian received the ball, Espanyol striker Casido immediately released the flying shovel. Yenwa teenager's ball control skills became more and more skilled. He flicked the ball across with his left foot. The whole person turned around in a dashing manner, dodged this flying shovel. It was then passed diagonally to Iniesta. Immediately after that, the running position begins. From God's perspective, Chutian found a future Marcin star one in the Espanyol squad, Asensio. Now Asensio is only 19 years old and is in the Espanyol position as a front flank. Starting next year, he will return to Real Madrid and will be reused by Zidane, shining at the club and the national team of Matadors. Beep, the referee blew the whistle. Neymar was on the left side of the opposing half, and after receiving Iniesta's pass, he was shoveled down by Espanyol defender Haldane. The referee pulled out a yellow card. The fans in the stands erupted in boos. Less than 2 minutes into the game, the Spaniard received a yellow card. The smell of gunpowder in Catalan derby is very strong. Neymar got up and directly fired a free kick. The football came to Chutian's feet. Diop pressed up. Chutian directly leaned on the Spaniard's back with his shoulder and passed the ball out. Diop was a little shocked. The Yenwa teenager didn't look very strong. Why could he pass the ball so calmly under his own pressure? The Espanyol's footmanship is far inferior to that of the Barca players. The players simply couldn't break the ball from Chutian's feet. They did not dare to make too cruel and dirty moves against Chutian. The major shareholders of the Espanyol club and several senior executives were Yenguaran. Chutian quickly took control of the rhythm. Football is like a mischievous elf, constantly rolling cheerfully on the green field. Barca's fluid passing was once again on the El Prat Stadium. The Spaniards are retreating. Barcelona's passing is becoming more and more dazzling. Barca fans in the stands began cheering. This is the real Barcelona. During this time, Chutian's running speed has also become faster. 16th minute of the match. Chutian received a ball from Suarez at the top of the arc of the penalty area. He was quickly blocked by 2 opposing players. Without looking, he gave the ball directly to Alves near the corner flag zone. Immediately after, the whole person ran to the forbidden area. Alves quickly kicked out a long pass. Find Iniesta on the big penalty area line. At this point, the Spaniards' back line did not dare to be careless. The defenders are keeping their eyes on Neymar, Suarez, Messi. Iniesta picked the ball up into the box. Who is this provocation looking for? Goalkeeper Lopez hastily adjusted his position in small steps. Chutian magically appeared in the penalty area, which happened to be the landing point of the football. He lifted his feet gently. One kick to push. Football burrowed into the net. 1-0. Beautiful. This is the first time I've seen Chutian break a door in this way. Barca took the lead. Let's take a look at the replay. At that time, MSN was staring dead, and it turned out that when Chutian distributed the ball to Alves, he had already begun to insert backwards and forwards. In just a few seconds, he ran to the point where the ball landed. His speed seems to be getting faster. Combined with amazing game-reading ability and running awareness, it's easy to hit the ball. Duan Xian's tone was excited. Chutian trained so hard, and it was normal for him to make rapid progress. He's young, and he can still raise the ball. Better handsome than when scoring goals with your face. Haha. Barca teammates surrounded Chutian. Crazy celebration. Iniesta laughed. Xavi used to score like this occasionally, just don't know why. I feel like you should be there. Didn't expect a picky pass. The ball went into the taxi. Episode 113. Heavenly Gods Mortal Chutian. Unilateral slaughter. In front of the TV, the Barca fans who are watching this Catalan derby are also extremely excited. Chutian's dashing goal was played back on the screen. God, the familiar Barcelona is back. This is Barcelona. Chutian is the soul. As long as he plays, Barca can control the game and score goals. After a goal behind, Espanyol coach Gonzalez yelled at the players on the pitch, "Lift up the spirits. It's Catalan derby now. Do you want to be sifted through by Barcelona?" He was born in the Espanyol Academy and has been playing for his parent team as a player. After retiring from the army, he also began to coach the Spaniards. He has experienced more than 24 Catalan derbies and regards Barca as a sworn enemy. The lap reopened during the race. Chutian's goal inspired the bloody Espanyol players. Casito kicked off and passed back to Asensio, the future Real Madrid rising star, trying to lead the breakthrough push directly in the middle. Iniesta easily broke the ball. The Spaniard formation, which was pressing forward madly, suddenly stagnated. Iniesta split the ball between the nearest left wingers. The home fans in the stands erupted in boos. Espanyol fullback Abila quickly followed back, releasing the shovel from the inside. The inner major picked the ball and dodged it in a dashing manner. Chutian had already run to the Spaniards' halftime ribs to pick up. Haldane hurriedly stuck in position, blocking the line of less progress within the right foot to take a step, and the center of gravity moved forward. Haldane jerked his foot. The inner little left leg slammed on the heel. The ball passed to Chutian's feet. Espanyol defender Rello came forward at high speed to assist in the defense. The other defenders also made up for their own left ribs at the half. Followed by, Chutian and Neymar immediately made a dazzling and wonderful pass on the left side of the road. The two ran interspersed. The ball passes at high speed under the crotch of the Espanyol player. The exquisite cooperation between the genius of Yengua and the genius of Samba. It's so pleasing to the eye. Chutian received a pass from Niai Xiao on the left side of the opponent's big penalty area. Asensio and Casido are also pressing forward, one after the other. Formed a bag clamp trend. The siege of two people in Spain is very fierce. The ball may be lost. The next moment, everyone was stunned. Only to see Chutian's right foot stomp the ball. The ball rolls to the right. The whole person turns 180 degrees. Avoided Asensio's outstretched legs. Pull the ball with your left foot. Dodged Casido's feet. Instantly defused the coercion of two people. Chic and gorgeous footwork. Marseille boomerang. It's so inexplicable. Asensio and Diop couldn't do anything about it. Most of the Spaniards' defenders were pulled by him and Nasheo to the left side of the penalty area and the right side of the penalty area. Only Duarte and Diop. After Chutian got rid of it, he didn't stay and handed out an instep of the inside. A series of actions in one go. Football is covered in turf. Rotate at high speed. Head straight to the right side of the restricted area. Goalkeeper Lopez took a look at the line and tried to strike. Suarez also ran to the passing line, but just when both of them thought the ball needed to be scrambled. The trajectory of the football turns. The arc of the outline is huge. Came to the feet of Messi, who was plugged in from the back of the right. Messi got up and pushed. Football carries a beautiful arc. Over the top of Lopez's head, drilled into the far corner of the goal. 2-0. The ball went into the... Again, beautiful. Chutian's inner instep arc ball straight into the plug. Messi just lifted his feet slightly. It continued the arc of the football and broke the goal. In a sense, it seems that Messi is assisting Chutian. How many ways does Chutian want to break the goal in this game? He activated MSN. Now when watching Chutian's game, I have to use the search engine. Why does Chutian's pass turn? I went to the bathroom, it was 2 o'clock? Suarez, didn't the ball pass to me? Messi opened his hands and ran to Chutian. Hugged the Yengua teenager tightly. Other Barca players also gathered around. It was the easiest Catalan derby they've ever played. Just 18 minutes passed in the first half. Barca scored 2 goals. Enrique also celebrated wildly with the players on the bench. Chutian's debut made this Catalan derby without the anxiety of the imagination. Espanyol are not a weak team, finishing 10th in La Liga last season and beating Valencia. The game continues. Espanyol kicked off. The Spaniard, who was 2 goals behind, pressed forward wildly. Asensio began to organize the attack. He received a pass from Casido, looked up for a moment. There is no too good forward pass line. Face Alba, who was pressing up at high speed. Asensio's habits in the youth team have not changed for a while. He turned around and shielded the ball with his left foot. The right foot flicked the ball in an attempt to get rid of the passerby. Alba saw through the other person's thoughts, and the timing of the foot was very accurate. He touched the ball with ease, pushed it again on tiptoe, and the ball slid down Asensio's foot. This makes the future La Liga Nova extremely devastated. He subconsciously used his left arm to break through Alba's armpit. Alba fell to the ground. He immediately climbed up angrily and pointed his head at Asensio. Players from both sides immediately rushed over, push each other. Boos in the stands also grew louder. Beep. The referee blew the whistle. The game came in 21 minutes and the two teams had their first head-on clash. The smell of gunpowder in the Catalan derby is getting stronger and stronger. Chutian vaguely remembered. After Asensio returned to Real Madrid, there were many times when this was a similar situation, one of which had particularly serious consequences. When he failed to do a human action, he accidentally stepped on the ankle of the opposing defender, but his attitude of admitting mistakes afterwards was very good, saying that he did not control his emotions for a while. The chaos on the pitch took 2 minutes to subside. 24th minute of the match. Alba took a free kick at the back, passed to Chutian. The Yengua teenagers began to control the game. The Spaniards' defense and pressure are far inferior to Atletico and Roma. The entire Barca formation was pressed forward under the impetus of Chutian. Busquets and Mascherano also gradually moved forward as the team advanced, combing with Chutian's passing in midfield. Football sketches a beautiful trajectory on the green field. The passing between Barca players is becoming more and more fluid. Chutian was like the conductor of the symphony orchestra, allowing Barca to play a cheerful round dance. Tiki-taka. The Yengua teenager has proved to the world that only he can make this team shine with the glory of La Masia. Without Chutian's game, there would be no soul for transmission control. At the El Prat Stadium, in the stands of Barca fans, there was a loud applause. Chutian's running speed was very fast now. His figure covered the entire Spaniards' half. Let Haldane and Diop, who followed, cry bitterly. The Spaniards' goalkeeper is also terrified. Every foot of the Yengua teenager passes forward. The line becomes very strange under the action of the arc, and the partial landing point is extremely accurate. 27th minute of the match. The Spaniards' backline was gradually overwhelmed. Under the pull of MSN and Iniesta, the broken trick was revealed. Chutian's vision lit up with a brilliant rainbow line. He passed a long pass with one foot. Football with beautiful arcs. Holes pierced the opponent's entire backline. landed on the left side of the restricted area. Suarez's sense of smell in front of the door is extraordinary. He quickly stepped forward. Before the football lands, one kick volley. Football exploded into the net. Goalkeeper Lopez didn't react at all. 3-0. Barca killed the game. Chutian assisted twice. Suarez volleyed into the air and scored. Chutian, who has no solution. His game form is so good. Goals in every game. All have assists. He's already far ahead of second place in assists in La Liga. I can't put into words his vision and passing. Under Chutian's control, the Spaniards' backline collapsed. Barca's passing coordination is too smooth. They couldn't touch the ball at all. Unable to organize a counterattack. 40th minute of the match. Messi took the defense from the right. Alves plugged in, received Chutian's straight ball. He kicked it. Football is blocked by Lopez's two fists. The football flew out of the box. Chutian happened to be standing in the landing position. This ball, is Chutian ready to shoot from a distance? But he stood in front of him with defensive players, only to see Chutian's chest stop the ball. Do not make adjustments, a foot straight plug. The ball rolled to the ground, with a whirlwind, crossing the gap between the Espanyol defenders, came to the left side of the restricted area. Amazing long distance straight. Neymar, like a loach, got rid of the entanglement of the fullbacks. One kick to shoot. 4-0. No more suspense. Chutian assisted the hat trick. Barca before the end of the first half. Just 4 goals ahead, Chutian was fair enough to let MSN score a goal each. Stands. Many Espanyol fans have already left the stadium early. The performance of the Yengua teenager made the Catalan derby, which should have been extremely anxious, completely devoid of anger. An angry home fan lit the flag. This time in the Catalan derby, La Liga Football Union attaches great importance to security work, so that the Espanyol club has sent a lot of security. The fire was quickly extinguished. Second, the Spaniards had no chance of fighting back. 55th minute of the match. Chutian received Iniesta's pass from 35 meters away from the goal. Yengua teenager shot with one kick. Batistuta bombarded the door. 5-0. 70th minute of the match. Neymar was brought down in the penalty area. Chutian once again broke the Espanyol goal with Carlos' powerful free kick. 6-0. Goal hat-trick. Assists hat-trick. Chutian. It's like a god under heaven. Turn what should have been a fierce Catalan derby into a one-sided massacre. The game is over. Reporters gathered around. Chutian, the winter transfer window will start soon. Do you have the team you want now? Mourinho and Guardiola, for your sake, have been talking fiercely about tactical ideas on personal social media. Episode 114. Super endorsement contract is coming. Barca dressing room. The players celebrated wildly. Winning the Catalan derby brings no less joy than the national derby. Neymar stood on the bench and shouted, "Messi invited us to his house to dry patty." Messi smiled shyly. He walked in front of Chutian and said, "You are the best player in the MVP game today. You must come. Tonight we won the Catalan derby. The coaching staff gave us a day off tomorrow." Chutian nodded. He remembered. In the media reports of the past life, Messi drank a lot. Even a certain beer brand in Yengua is Messi's staunchest sponsor. After Messi broke Pelé's goal record in 2020, the beer brand custom-made more than 600 bottles of numbered beer for the 160 goalkeepers who had been scored by Messi. The global publicity effect is directly full. Young General Buffon got 2 bottles. Neuer is also 2 bottles. Oblak got 10 bottles. Bayer Leverkusen's goalkeeper Leno got 5 consecutive bottles of beer because in the November 12 Champions League quarter-finals, Messi's 5th son Denko, Real Madrid's 3 goalkeepers received a total of 43 bottles. Fans have commented, heartbroken. Half an hour later, Chutian followed the Barca stars to Messi's mansion. Matthew was here for the first time and couldn't help but be shocked. "Messi, you also have a soccer field at home." The crowd laughed. Matthew exclaimed, "That building is a gymnasium. There's a playground over there. There are also 2 swimming pools too." "Messi, how old is your family?" Chutian followed Messi into the villa, through the entrance, and looked at the past was a row of wine cabinets more than 3 meters high. Barca's 25-man roster, with the exception of Rakitic and Dennis Jr., who has gone on loan to Villarreal. The rest of the stars have arrived. Neymar carried the bottle and cup, found Chutian, and said seriously, "Last time I didn't play well before I got drunk, this time you don't run. You must not be able to drink me." An hour later, Neymar lying on the table unconscious. The other teammates were also a joy. Alves pulled Roberto to dance. Messi and Suarez drank cocktails and had a good chat. Busquets and Iniesta are holding up their phones and video with their families and children. Ter Stegen swims with Bravo in a competition. Chutian looked at his Barca teammates and smiled heartily. Next. 4:30 a.m. Chutian woke up. System Mall. De Luel clock swing over man module fragment times 1/3 of the game has no bonus match points. After a simple wash, he carried his backpack and walked out of the dormitory. Just went downstairs. "I saw Mino Raiola's van." The short fat man said excitedly, "God, you are too punctual." Chutian wondered, Mr. Mino, why did you get up so early? Mino Raiola shook his head. I can't sleep. There are always a lot of sports brands in the other hemisphere. Since I became your agent, those sports brand endorsement cooperation negotiations have flown like snowflakes. I have good news for you. Audi has come up with an annual advertising endorsement fee of £16 million. Nico has proposed £12 million a year, and if they sign a 10-year-long contract, they will give a total of £180 million in advertising endorsement fees. Chutian was slightly surprised. Half a month ago, Audi's advertising endorsement fee was £12 million? The short fat man nodded. It's because of your excellent performance. Plus the ratings of La Liga and the Champions League in the hot country. Audi suggested that you don't have to sign a long contract with them, and if you renew the contract, the annual advertising endorsement fee will be raised. They are really shrewd, and if they can become your first sports brand to cooperate with, they will gradually become deeply rooted in the hearts of people in the consumer market of Yenghua. Do you like the logo of Nico? Audi is also willing to create a new sub-logo for you. Today is the first team rest day. Chutian had gone through a morning of training. He was taken to a mansion by Mino Raiola. Chutian, shooting an advertisement is much easier than playing football in the Champions League. The short and fat man laughed and did not smile. The brand side also found a female star partner for you. How come you don't look excited at all? Oh, excitedly it should be the female star. Who wouldn't want to be paired with one of Europe's hottest gifted teenagers? Mino Raiola moved quickly. In the morning, he helped Chutian complete the signing of the endorsement cooperation. At noon, he immediately brought Chutian to shoot the advertisement. In the area of making money, short and fat people never rub it. You don't have to worry about shooting ads that will affect your normal work and rest training. According to the contract, we only need to shoot 5 ads in a year. Chutian came to the powder room. The makeup artists turned around. I can't help but sigh that the oriental face of the Yenghua teenager is very charming. Moments later, Chutian went through a simple makeup, changed into sportswear and sneakers, and came to the studio. The director and all the crew are ready. There is also a tall female star who is very eye-catching. When the female star saw Chutian appear, she couldn't help but light up. She walked over to Chutian and held out her hand. Hello Chutian, I'm Andia. Hello. Chutian's response was bland. Andia can't help but feel a little lost. She is the hottest new generation of female stars in Britain. But behind Chutian, there is a consumer market in Yenghua that the whole of Europe cannot match. Chutian has not paid much attention to foreign female stars. Don't watch entertainment programs and film and television works at all. Andia in front of me looked pretty, but the Yenghua teenager did not know and had not seen it on TV. Chutian's idea was simple. Immediately after shooting the advertisement, go back to the training base to practice. The director roughly told Chutian about the content of the advertising video. Start shooting. The content is simple. Chutian changed back and forth into sneakers and sweatshirts. Make different running and passing moves. It was shot in less than an hour. There is nothing wrong with female stars. There is nothing like football. Chutian guessed that they should be synthesized into the advertising video later, right? This ad seems to have seen something similar in a past life. Andia also quickly finished filming that part of herself. She hesitated, quietly approached Chutian's side, and gave him a small note. Chutian was slightly stunned and glanced at it, and the content on the note was only a phone number. Andia's idea was not complicated. She wanted to have something to do with the Yenghua teenager. Chutian is now the hottest talented player in Europe. Countless European giants and upstarts have thrown olive branches at him. He has huge traffic in Europe. At the same time, he also backs the huge consumer market of Yenghua. Most importantly, Chutian himself was also quite charming. If you can have something scandalous with Chutian, that's going to be a sensation all over the world. Their own film contracts and endorsements will definitely. Just as Andia unfolded her beautiful vision for the future, Chutian had already left the studio. My good boy, if I had known earlier that you had no interest in European girls, I would have strongly asked the brand to find a Yenghua actress to partner you. How's it going? Let's have lunch together? You haven't had lunch with your agent, Mr. Mino, in a long time, the short fat man chattered. At Chutian's insistence, Mino Raiola eventually sent him back to Barca's first team training base. That night, a short advertising video with only 25 seconds went viral all over the world. The short video platform in Yenghua has also been on the hot search. The content of the ad clip is simple. The main color of the entire video is warm. Chutian wore a sweatshirt and sneakers and ran down the street. Match the cheerful rhythm. Every vehicle passed by Chutian's side. The sweatshirt and sneakers on Chutian's body will change into different styles. Opposite the road, the good-looking Andia tossed the ball at him. The scene immediately changed, and the street immediately turned into a sandy beach. Every pass he makes with his kick draws a wonderful arc past flocks of flying seagulls, fell precisely into Andia's hands. The number of comments and retweets soared. The first advertisement endorsed by Chutian. Chutian is so handsome. BGM is also good to feel. The whole advertising short film is also positive. Blown up. Bye. I buy all the products endorsed by Chutian. In addition to being good looking, that female star throws the ball back and forth what's so hard? Please let me shoot an advertisement with Brother Tion. I don't want money. Many unmarried European stars will have gossip with female celebrities and female supermodels. Don't be fooled, you didn't watch the trailer released first in the feature film. Chutian's life is 2 points and 1 line. Dormitory Training Ground, Episode 115, The Horse is Injured? It's about playing left-wingers? The rest of the time passed quickly. Chu continued to train hard day after day. All the accumulated free distribution attributes are added to the speed. No one bothered him, except for Andia, the British actress, after working with the young men of Yenghua on an advertising short. Her flakes fluttered like snowflakes, continuously. She is even invited to many major ceremonies in Europe. Andia's film remuneration and endorsement fees have also risen. Of course, she knew that it was all because of Chutian. So, she let the broker soft grind hard bubbles on the brand side, and the soft grind hard bubbles on Mino brokerage companies. Let the broker exhaust all kinds of ways. Andia finally got Chutian's personal mobile phone number. 4. The young man of Yenghua seemed to have only football in his heart. A few short conversations at a time, Chutian would use the training as an excuse to quickly hang up the phone, not to mention having dinner together and dating. This cold reaction made Andia very uncomfortable. The paparazzi in the European media were also uncomfortable. They lurked near the training base in La Masia. Day and night tracked Chutian's itinerary, but did not find any bit of gossip. No clues at all. The daily life of Yenghua teenagers is boring, except for the game day. It is 2 points and 1 line of training. Chutian was also used to being stalked by paparazzi. He would also greet the paparazzi hiding in the corner every morning. It seems to treat them as free security guards. In the 8th round of La Liga, Barca host Malaga. The team is very young in Europe and they were founded in 1994. With the support of the Oil Kingdom Consortium, they have annexed several small local clubs and presented a dark horse in the 2012 season. Beat AC Milan in the cold, 3-0 victory over Russian Super League giants Zenit. This Malaga team, all the way to the quarter-finals of the Champions League, fell at the feet of Dortmund. At present, the fastest goal record in La Liga is still maintained by this team. The opening 8 seconds to score. 4. Chutian started. With impeccable passes and arcs, they were crushed. In the end, Barca beat Malaga 5-0. Chutian scored a hat-trick. Assists for the second time. All the media crazy reports. Chutian will not be the first player in La Liga to be the first player in the top scorer list and the assist list. Champions League Group Stage Round 3. Barcelona expedition to the country of Ural. Challenge the Borisov Club. At the end of September, the lowest temperature of the Dnieper River is 2 degrees Celsius. Borisov's home field is known as the Devil's Home. They defeated Bayern in the snow and ice. The evaluation of this home stadium by the Yenghua football media is, no matter how delicate your technique is, the football can't roll up in the snow. No matter how exquisite your long pass is, the football ground will be blown by the fierce cold wind. No matter how determined you are, you will be frozen and your teeth will tremble. You can't run in the snow. Unfortunately, it's September. It wasn't yet time for the Dnieper tour to be snowy. Barca finally slaughtered Borisov 7 o'clock. Chutian scored a hat-trick and assisted the Big Four. Shocked the whole of Europe. Barca's talented midfielder has scored in the group stage, close to last season's Champions League silver boots. Yenghua teenagers are not yet forward players. The club analysis team of the European giants updates Chutian's data report every week. They found the running speed of the Yenghua teenager faster and faster. The coaches of the 5 major leagues all came up with an idea. Chutian's position may not be limited to the midfield. Chutian was on the plane back to the Matador Kingdom. The system's prompt tone quietly sounds. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing 3 games of victory. Get rewarded. De Luo Zhong Swing Man Shard ×1. The total number of current fragments is ×2. Assemble 5 shards and craft to get the Great Luo Bell Swing Man module. Chutian glanced at the system mall. The De Luo Bell Pendulum module ×0/3 number of matches. I couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the difficulty of obtaining fragments will not be stacked like a Pitman game. On the other hand, many physicists in Europe are also studying Chutian's free kicks. Just like when he studied Beckham, Carlos's free kick. It's hard for them to believe that 2 different free kicks, both of which are touched, would be concentrated on the same person. Of course, the results of the study are the same as in the past, which makes people laugh. The days go by. Chutian swung the human fragments for the sake of the Great Luo Bell, and never took turns. All the freely assigned attributes obtained by training are added to the speed. Copa del Rey. Barca host Villarreal. This time, the opponent is not the Fish Belly team. Their nickname is Yellow Diver Boat. Yenghua fans like to call Villarreal Yellow Dive. They have killed all the way from West Sea to La Liga in the past 17 years. Won the International Toto Cup. Europa League Final 4. Champions League Final 4. La Liga runners-up, created and so on a series of European football miracles. Dennis Jr. took the lead on behalf of Huangqian. In his 4 games on loan to Huangqian, He has performed very well, scoring 2 goals and completing 2 assists. Villarreal even had to agree to Barca's high-priced buyout treaty. Chutian also found that many players in the opposing squad later went to play in Yengua's clubs, for example, Bakambu, Soriano, Jokic. The game was very exciting. Huang Qian did not play a defensive counterattack. Instead, it was a fierce confrontation with Barca. Barca eventually beat Villarreal 4-1. Dennis Jr. scored a late-face goal in injury time. Chu Tianyuan shot through the goal. Assists hat-trick. After the game, little Dennis was scratched his head by the big brothers of La Masia, encouraging him to perform well and return to Barca as soon as possible. The next day, Minora Iola and Barca sporting director Robert argue endlessly. In the end, Barca promised to let Chutian participate in a charity competition organized by an international aid organization that night. Chutian played the full field. Surprised to find out after the game, the big Luo bell in the system mall swings over the human module fragments, and there is one more game. Does a charity match count as a number of games? Ding! The charity tournament can be settled normally with the superstar skill module. No match points can be increased. Chutian was overjoyed. Hurry up and let Minora Iorato help him fight for the chance of a charity match. Gradually, the media around the world are praising the young people of Yengua for their enthusiasm for charity. Countless people who have been assisted by the charity race have also hung posters of Chutian at home. La Liga Round 9, Barca vs Granada. The club has a great partnership with Serie A's Udinese. Many of Udinese's talented young players are at Granada. This one game, Granada's defense is tenacious. Chutian felt like he was playing a Serie A team. Barca eventually won 5-0. Chutian scored twice and assisted in a hat-trick. The days of the winter transfer period are getting closer and closer. The news about Chutian's transfer was also overwhelming. Some people speculate that he will go to Real Madrid, because Modric, Ronaldo, Bale have repeatedly shouted at the Yengua teenager on their personal social accounts. Later, everyone learned that Chutian did not open a personal social account at all. When participating in the commentary competition, every legendary celebrity of the European giants will firmly announce to the audience that Chutian will definitely come to the home team he has played for. All of a sudden, which club Chutian will transfer to during the winter window has become the biggest mystery in Europe. Guardiola and Mourinho's discussion of Chutian's tactical ideas on the internet is also becoming more and more intense. Time flies. La Liga Round 10, Barca vs Las Palmas. Win this game, Chutian was able to obtain the last fragment of the great Luo bell swinging human module. The only feature of this club is that it has a mascot, a cute doll called Pipio. It kept teasing the little fans of both teams on the sidelines. But their defenders are far less loving than this doll. It wasn't long before the game started. Micheo received a pass from Iniesta on the flank. He made a rainbow shot and shrugged off opposing defender Burgess. The teased Bigas, furious, knocked out Nisheo directly from behind. In the process of getting up, accidentally stepped on Nisheo's ankle. Iniesta let out a fierce scream. The referee hurriedly called for the team doctor to play, and Bigas showed a red card directly. Bigas was extremely annoyed and was anxious to care about the injury of Nisheo. Later games, not much changed. Barca eventually beat 10-man Las Palmas 6-0. Chutian scored a hat-trick. Assists hat-trick. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing 3 games of victory. Get rewarded. De Luo Zhong Swing Manshard ×1. The total number of current fragments is ×5. Module fragments are in process. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the De Luo Bell Pendulum Passer module. Zhu Tianho's head was slightly numb. In my mind, a fragment of the great Luo Bell swinging people came to mind. The control techniques, the action points, the center of gravity position, are also integrated into his body. This time of training, he's speeding up all the freely distributed attribute points he's earned. His speed is now 90. The running speed of the Yengua teenager gradually made the whole of Europe begin to marvel. Next, when Su had a sad face, the Yengua teenager was found on the training ground. Chutian, I regret to tell you a bad news. Xiao was injured and needs at least a month to recover. Our coaching team has been carefully considered. Need you in the next round. Play as a left winger. If you don't agree, playing left back can also be father. Chutian shook his head and said in a flat tone, it doesn't matter, I can try to play a game. Episode 117, The Great Luo Bell Swings Over. Chutian's skills shocked the audience. Celta's defender, Sergi, crazy chaseback. Chutian's current speed was 90, and no Bale, Sulla's kind of top winger is fast. But in God's perspective, it has long been predicted that the landing point of the football has been predicted. He was ready to turn around and start early, before the soccer ball lands, about to pop out of bounds. Chutian stopped the ball with his left foot. Start the high-speed rush. The road ahead is flat. Celta defenders frantically chase back. Everyone was nervous. Single knife chance. Chutian directly faced the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper Alvarez hesitated, facing the Yengua teenager who was rushing at high speed. He chose to strike. Chutian took the ball to the top of the arc of the big penalty area. Alvarez opens his hands. Blocked the angle of his shot. There are also small steps under the feet, and the position is quickly adjusted laterally. The timing of the Celta goalkeeper's attack is very good, and there is no chance for Chutian to pick up the hanging goal. The defender has also come back to catch up, and there is no chance for this single knife. An instant, all the action fragments of De Luo appeared in Chutian's mind. Yengua's left foot took a step forward to the left, and the whole person's center of gravity shifted to the left. Alvarez's center of gravity also shifted to the left. Yengua's right foot took a step forward to the left, and the whole person's center of gravity shifted to the right. Alvarez's center of gravity also shifted to the right. He didn't dare to throw his foot or pounce easily. Every false action of Chutian may become a real action. Football is always under Chutian's control. Chutian's third step. Alvarez has lost its center of gravity. The whole person fell to the ground. This moment, everyone's eyes widened. Even Xavi, the commentator, did not react for a moment. The battle between the young man of Yengua and the Celta goalkeeper. Everything happened between the electric light and flint. Chutian swung the ball sideways, faced the empty door directly. One kick to shoot. Alvarez lay on the ground, turned his head, and looked frightened. The football rolled into the net. Cancan chased back to the Celta defender in the penalty area, and the whole person fell to his knees in despair. 1-0. Beautiful. Chutian single-handedly broke the door. Helped Barca take the lead. The pendulum is over. The pendulum is over. This one stunt. It re-emerged in Europe's top leagues. It was incredible. It's unbelievable. Why can the Yengua teenager make this most difficult move? This is De Luo's exclusive signature stunt. The assist for this goal counts on Barca goalkeeper Bravo's head. Xavi was excited. In the CTV live broadcast room, the big screen constantly replayed Chutian's goal action. Groove. I'm not watching a short commercial. Chutian Hui De Luo's bell pendulum is outstanding. Chutian. The pendulum has high requirements for lower limb and waist and abdominal strength, skill, and balance. That's awesome. Chutian cast a real pendulum. His speed has not slowed down. Instead, after shaking open the goalkeeper, the whole person can also speed up. How many stunts will he have left? This counts as a goalkeeper assist. Ha ha ha. Bravo is also awesome. Left winger Chutian. Even more terrifying. On the side of the pitch, Celta coach Eduardo looked sluggish. The current Barca midfielder is vulnerable in his eyes. Chutian was moved to the left side of the road. Busquets was in a high-intensity, intensive schedule, and his physical strength dropped rapidly. Roberto was overwhelmed. Barca's junior Tella has completely failed to adapt to the rhythm of La Liga. Why can the Yengua teenager still score goals? Why does he swing the bell? Enrique and Wensu were also pleasantly surprised. Barca's opening situation was very passive. When Bravo randomly kicked out that long pass, they couldn't help but get angry. This old goalkeeper was too casual. Isn't that giving up the ball to the opposite side again? But Chutian started, and the timing of turning around and starting was very good. He's not as fast as a world-class winger like Bale. The difference in speed between top wingers can be brought closer by the timing of the start. Enrique looked at the goal replay on the big screen on the pitch and muttered, "That's the pendulum. I've been teammates and opponents with De Luo, and I'm so familiar with this move. Can't go wrong. It's exactly the same. When will Chutian do this?" Barca's teammates gathered around Chutian, took turns hugging the Yengua teenager. Even Bravo ran up to celebrate. Chutian. That's great. You made me an assist. The Barca stars played passively in this game. Fortunately, Chutian single-handedly saved the scene. But the next game will not be easy. Terra then remembered the advice that Wensu had in his ear before he went on the court. He said loudly with an embarrassed face, "The coach told us to do a good job of defense and seize the opportunity to counterattack." Busquets and Pique nodded. After Xavi left the team, before Chutian came to Barca, Enrique tried Barca's tactical changes and let the players practice anti-counter tactics in the training camp. The anti-reaction tactics envisioned by Enrique at the time were ordinary. The players in Barca's backcourt have a strong ability to shoot the ball. Just after defusing the opponent's attack, just drive Bigfoot to find the MSN in the front court. The game reopens. Celta's mid-circle kickoff. Aspar sent back to Nolito. The formations of the two sides changed rapidly. Nolito handed the ball to Taivan. Celta regained control of the middle. Trey and Roberto chased the ball like they were walking their dogs. The morale of the Celta players was not affected by a goal behind. They have been mixed in the middle and lower reaches of La Liga for many years, and it is common for them to be the first to break the door by the opposite side. This season, Celta has had good luck, with weak teams encountered in the 10th round of La Liga. The new coach, Eduardo, promoted many of La Masia's outcasts, transformed Celta into a passing team and killed a number of La Liga downstream teams. Nolito is the best performer among them. From God's perspective, Chutian saw that Barca had begun to retreat, but Celta's formation wasn't too forward pressurized. Celta's backline was also awakened by Chutian's single knife. Their midfielders, like a knife, jammed Barca's midfield with precision. The technique under the feet of Taivan, Nolito, and Raider is delicate. They were all teenagers of La Masia, know how to deal with the Barca midfielder who does not have the right to control the ball. The three pass, like a sharp knife, strangled the middle of Barca. Trey and Roberto were exhausted, couldn't touch the ball at all. Busquets occasionally breaks the ball and is hanged for not having a line to play. This Celta is amazing. It's not without reason that they can be the dark horses of La Liga this season. During this time, Barca's possession rate is 10%. It's so rare. Barca's backline was cautious. Peak and Matthew didn't press too far forward, preventing the opposite side from hitting the ball behind them. 24th minute of the match, Alves and Alba began to move closer to the middle, just when they were about to participate in the strangulation of the middle road. Chutian's secret path is not good. Celta is waiting for this moment. Taiwan kicked straight. There are two sides to the left and right of Celta. Malleus and Castro plug in at high speed. Nolito also rushed directly to the heart of Barcelona. Suarez is also desperately rushing forward in the entanglement of Peak. All of a sudden, Celta have 4 attacking points. Alba and Alves can't go back. Suarez and Peak swapped 1 for 1. Matthew alone had to defend against 3 attack points. How can it be? Malleus received a straight ball from his teammate. It looks like it's going to cut inside into the restricted zone. Matthew hurriedly stuck in place. Malleus laterally get rid of. 1 foot cross. The ball rolled towards Nolito, which had already stepped back into the Barca penalty area. Bravo immediately struck. The moment Nolito stopped the ball, Barca goalkeeper put Nolito down with a flying shovel. Beep. The referee immediately pointed to the 12-yard position. Penalty. Barca were awarded a penalty. Judging from the slow-motion replay, Bravo was kicked on Nolito's support foot. No problem. It was an undisputed penalty. This is a great opportunity for Celta to equalize. Nolito got up and the Barca goalkeeper finally closed his foot. He was fine. In the stands, the Celta fans began to cheer. Nolito's performance this season has made Celta sing all the way. At this time, he also helped the team win a precious penalty. Courtside, Enrique's expression was dignified. The Barca players on the bench also stood up and looked in the direction of Barca's goal. Eduardo turned his head. As a player, in the kind of Champions League semi-finals of the 90s, he kicked a penalty. Since then, a shadow has been left. He was most afraid to watch penalties. The football was placed in 12 yards. Bravo's expression was relaxed. He stood on the door line, throbbing, his arms waving, making exaggerated movements. This is a common technique in penalties, interfering with the mental state of the penalty taker. Nolito took a look at the goal and took a deep breath. Start running. Bravo saw the crowd. Chutian's fingers were held high. Point to the bottom right corner of the goal. Call. Nolito pushed and shoved. Bravo pounced on the bottom right corner of the goal. Episode 118. World-class left winger. Chutian zero angle to break the door. Bravo pounced on the bottom right corner of the goal. Hugged the soccer ball that was about to burst into the net. Wonderful prediction. Bravo judged the direction of the Nolito attack. Hold the ball firmly. He gave his opponent a penalty and ransomed it on goal line right away. He's one of the goalkeepers in football today. The home fans in the stands sighed. Barca fans cheered. Enrique and the substitutes breathed a sigh of relief. Eduardo had already stood up when he heard the sigh, his expression tangled. Bravo stood up at once. He looked out over Celta's backfield, tried to find Chutian with a long pass again, but Celta was prepared. They didn't leave much of a gap in their backline. Bravo had no choice but to give Chutian a thumbs up. The Barca old door god saw the hint given by Chutian before the pounce. He couldn't help but think. In the Champions League group stage, against Bayer Leverkusen, Chutian also guessed the direction of Sharanoglu's free kick. Nolito had 3 rhythmic changes during the run assisting process. Let the Barca goalkeeper's bad judgment on the direction of the penalty. Bravo chose to believe Chutian. The moment the opponent touches the ball, he knew that Chutian was right. Nolito shook his head and looked puzzled. He was playing a penalty kick in La Liga for the first time. How can it be guessed that the shooting angle of the habit is used to? Bravo threw the ball to Alba. The Celta players didn't rush up. In the middle, Taivan and Raider followed Roberto and Tel, respectively. Barca's back and front court were cut off directly. Messi began to retreat to the middle of the road to meet Chutian's god perspective. The second half of Celta's formation began to tighten. The 4-back became the 3 center-back. Castro, who was close to Messi, ran into midfield. Nolito moved to the right side. Chutian couldn't help but sigh. No wonder Celta were able to beat Barca 4-1 in the 15-16 season. The tactical system of this La Liga dark horse is the most restrained Barca without the ball. Barca's midfield was weak and was completely strangled by Celta. Alves and Alba would have dared to come forward. Celta immediately hit the back with a long pass. For offensive points, to play Barca 2 defensive points. If Messi retraces, the middle road continues to squeeze. Then Celta's 4-back will become a 3-back. Barca's frontline attack point will only be Chutian and Suarez. Celta have absolute possession. They are the masters of the race. Barca's overall formation will always be one step slower in the case of passivity. The midfield was torn apart. Barca can't play at the back. Chutian on the front line, Suarez, Messi can only look at the ball and sigh. The game time passed minute by minute. It was the lowest possession game I've ever seen with Barca. Several of Celta's midfielders are from La Masia, Barca's youth team. They look like they want to prove themselves. Although Barca lead the way in the score, Celta have the advantage on the pitch. Barcelona also has today. Enrique is not a fool to let Chutian play left winger. I don't think Chutian can bring Roberto and Telly with him when he returns to midfield now. Fortunately, Chutian scored a goal by relying on his personal ability. Celta looks like Barcelona. That's right, in fact, the defensive striker. The number of times he touches the ball is not much after a game. Courtside, the joy of saving a penalty didn't make the Barca bench happy for long. The situation of the game is too passive. Iniesta sat on the bench, patted his left foot, and frowned if he wasn't injured. Barca, after taking the lead, let Chutian return to the middle. Barca midfielders will easily counterhang. 34th minute of the match. Celta suddenly picked up speed. Nolito picked up Raiders' straight block on the right. Lean on Alves, who is constantly clinging to himself. He will take the ball for a trip. Eat Barca right back raw. Nolito is running at high speed on the side. Alves had been thrown away when he turned around. Other Celta players also ran fast, approaching the Barca penalty area. The home fans in the stands began cheering. Nolito took the ball straight to the bottom line and went sideways into the Barca penalty area. Busquets took his hand and stuck in his place. Nolito immediately inverted triangle back. The ball went through the crotch of Ferry's back crossing crotch. Teowine curled up in the penalty area and received the ball. It's time to knock on the door. Roberto immediately blocked the angle of his long-range shot. Teowine, fake shooting true legend. A straight punch. Soccer snaps quickly past Matthew's feet. Raider has already plugged into the box. One kick to shoot. Bravo's line of sight has been blocked by the heavy figures in the penalty area, and he has a subconscious foot to block. The soccer ball that was about to burst into the net was bounced out. Rescue in front of Bravo's door. Celta is trying to use the Barca way. Pass the ball into the goal. The substitute backline of Barca tofu slag. How can Chutian move? A player's backline is difficult to run into in a short period of time, and the defender is the most difficult in 11 positions. Barca's entire backline, when Nolito's breakthrough is successful, is still a parallel line. No immediate formation depth. Matthew is a big problem. Alves has sealed the outside of Nolito. He should seal the inside line. Barca is miserable now. The ball bounced to Alba's feet. Celta's Malleus had already pushed up. Barca's left back subconsciously kicked out a long pass. Football flies to the middle circle. Suarez quickly adjusted his position, and at the point where the ball landed, he leaned on Celta defender Cabral. Turn your back towards goal. Lift your right foot. A trick. The ball flew to the right. Chutian started at high speed and caught the ball. Start running wild again. Barca's counterattack is coming. It's Chutian again. Celta's midfielders couldn't get their hands on it. Fortunately, after they changed into a formation, there were still two centre-backs to drag. Fernandez and Sergi. Chutian looked up at two bearded Celta centre-backs in the high-speed attack. In a long-distance run, the fastest way to pass is to change direction. Fernandez and Sergi are experienced. They were not shaken away by Chutian's change of direction. Instead, each with a huge body, tightly forced Chutian to the side. Celta's defender defused this counterattack from Barca. Wrong. Chutian flicked the ball and continued to advance at high speed along the left line. Soon close to the horned flag area, from God's perspective, between his goals, there are only Fernandez and Celta goalkeeper Alvarez. An incomparably brilliant rainbow line appeared in his vision. It's the goal. Chutian stomped the ball back with his left foot. Dodged Fernandez's footing. Then the heel of the right foot is pushed to the bottom line. The whole person is turning, pulled the other person away. Harvey God-level turn can still be used like this. Sergei, who had blocked the outside, couldn't react at all. After Chutian got out of space, the rainbow line in the field of vision is getting brighter and brighter. His position was times line with the goal. Lean inwards of the body and left foot slightly. Swing your legs. The instep of the outer foot is powerful. A kick in the bottom left of the ball. Football off the ground. High-speed swing. Fly to the forbidden zone. Chutian's pass is a bit taken for granted. Messi is still a long way from the restricted area. Celta goalkeeper Alvarez stands on the left side of the penalty area. He jumped up, tried to hold on to this pass. The football suddenly outlined a beautiful arc. Cancan wiped his gloves. Wrong. It's not a pass. It's a shot. It's a 0-degree angle shot. All the fans in the stands, holding their breath. Your eyes move with the trajectory of the soccer ball. Iniesta on the bench also widened her eyes. When Sue muttered, "The arc of this ball is so big." Enrique looked incredulous, so imaginative. Eduardo's face was sluggish. Alvarez turned around in a hurry. A look incredible. He tried to make amends, but it was too late. The trajectory of the football is like a beautiful rainbow. Quietly landed on the outside of the door line. Call. Bounce off the ground. It's like bouncing on everyone's heart. Got into the nest. 2-0. The ball is in. Nice zero-angle shot. Barca are once again ahead of. Chutian may open twice. He's in the bag of two Celta defenders. Kicked this very goal in the bottom line of the horn zone. He's also a world-class. In his left winger position. What a wonderful arc shot. Xian couldn't restrain his inner excitement. CTV5 live room. The barrage is flying. This is a limit operation. In the left winger position. Chutian is also world-class. Celta is invincible. Only in this way can Brother Changa bring Barca's group of substitutes. I think it's normal for Chutian to kick out a 0-degree angle shot. His passing and arcing are already out of his mind. But he was caught in the back's bag. God level get rid of plus base arc. Just looking at the possession rate, I thought it was Celta 2 o'clock Barca. Episode 119. Organized winger. Chutian's game-ending ability. In front of the TV, countless Barca fans cheered. The scene of the game, they watched it with great heartache. Unexpectedly, the magical Yenghua teenager fully demonstrated his personal ability and kicked out a very imaginative zero-angle goal. The commentators of the major European broadcast media were still recalling the wonderful pendulum, and the arc shot of the Yenghua teenager made them marvel again. The Premier League commentators, in particular, are uninhibited and paranoid about their respective home teams. Chutian should come to Manchester United. He played an arc like David Beckham. Depay's number 7 jersey should have been taken off for him. Coming to Chelsea is right. We have Hazard, the other side, need Chutian. Mourinho's two-wing attacking system is complete. Celta's goalkeeper, Alvarez, squatted on the turf with a frustrated look. 2 goals from the Yenghua teenager were incredible. Fernandez shook his head helplessly. He hadn't struggled so hard against Atletico's Glitzman last season. Nolito picked up the ball from the net and encouraged his teammates. There's still a lot of time. Brace oneself. The Celta boss called Thauvin to the side of the pitch, whispered a few words. The lap reopened during the race. Asparas passed the ball back to Thauvin. The formations of the two sides quickly dispersed. Raider leaned to the right. Malu on the left side of the road no longer stepped forward, but followed Chutian closely. Football transitions quickly in midfield. Celta, 2 goals behind, no longer hangs in the middle. They launched a crazy attack on Barca's penalty area. Nolito and Taya 18 made dazzling fits on the right side of the penalty area as Alves ran back and forth, miserable. Asparas and Peak are entangled with each other. Matthew followed Raider closely. Celta's midfielders are all gathered in the Barca penalty area. In front of Barca's goal, the wind was buzzing for a while. There's not much time left in the first half. Can Barca withstand the onslaught of Celta? Time passes minute by minute. Bravo high and low gear repeatedly defused the danger in front of the door, but Barca also did not catch the opportunity to fight back. Celta have too many players involved in the attack and always grab 2 penalties. Chutian was also stared dead. Finally, the referee blew the whistle at the end of the first half. Enrique and Wensu breathed a sigh of relief. Eduardo looked helpless. The first half is over. Celta have 76% possession. Barca have only 24% possession. Judging from the offensive heat map, Celta completely dominates the scene. It's a pity that their data is not reflected in the score. Chutian only relied on 2 shots to help Barca lead 2-0. Chutian returned to the dressing room. Along the way, I was thinking about how to play a team like Celta that is good at ground passing without possession. He struggled in his mind for the games he had watched during this time. Guardiola has no cases, and the team he coaches has always been very thunderous in terms of possession. Simeone's tactics worked, but the existing Barca teammates weren't that iron-blooded style. Mourinho's Chelsea? Chutian still couldn't understand his tactics for the time being. Chutian thought of a more suitable way of playing for Barca at the moment. In the Premier League teams, when facing Arsenal, Pellegrini's Manchester City gave the answer. Benitez's Chelsea in Season 12 also gave the answer. Both teams each have an organized side front, David Silva and Mata. Before 2 people turned out to be born, there is no such thing as a side front waist in European football. The term was coined to describe the characteristics of 2 men in their respective teams, and was coined by analysts in European football. Manchester City are the best combined teams in all of Europe. In 2015, the other players in City's current squad weren't very skilled. David Silva's organization in the wing front directly made the team's attack 3-dimensional. It is the current Barcelona, which is incomparable to the 3-dimensional lateral series. Which side he is on, which side is the focus of the Manchester United's tough guys. Mata in Season 12 is another tactical system at the heart of the wing. Chutian did not think any further. David Silva's set of tactics was enough to defeat Celta. Enrique walked into the dressing room. Before he could speak, Roberto then proposed, "Coach, we have 2 goals ahead, we should let Chutian return to the middle and control the rhythm." Matthew nodded too. At the end of the first half, Celta's attack sent him shivering. Enrique glanced at the tactical board. "Shake your head, even if Chutian returned to the middle road." Barca also struggled to achieve smooth passing, because Roberto and Troy's foot skills and passing ability are very poor. It was easy to cut off by Celta's 3 La Masia-born midfielders. Messi's retracement in the first half, Celta's formation change has given the answer that Barca can't squeeze too many players in the middle. "Chutian, do you have any proposals?" Enrique asked suddenly. Chutian's tone was flat. "Let Messi and Trey switch positions." Transposition? After a moment of contemplation, the Barca boss suddenly realized. Tell mustered up his courage. "Coach, I played as a right winger." Enrique nodded. "I didn't pin my hopes of scoring on the youngsters of the youth team." He hurriedly said. In the second half, Alba moved forward. Messi and Tell switch. "Listen. We play around Chutian as the core of the wing organization." Celta dressing room. Eduardo loudly encouraged the players. "We played great in the first half. We were a little bit lucky enough to break the door. Barca is just lucky. 2 goals were scored by the Yenwa boy. Cheer up, everybody." Second. We equalized. The morale of the Celta players was shaken, in particular, several outcasts of La Masia. The second half of the game begins. The referee blew the whistle. Barca kick off. Suarez passed the ball back to Roberto. Messi seems to have come to the middle of the road. He switched places with the youngster Terra. Barca's tactics in the second half have changed. Roberto stopped the ball and hurriedly passed it to Messi. Alba quickly stepped forward. Chutian began to run. Messi easily shook Tyervan away. Then the acceleration shifted to pass Raider. Passed the ball to Chutian. It's not so easy for a Celta player to break the ball from Messi's feet. Celta's Malher immediately let go of the shovel. Chutian pulled the ball and dodged it. By this time, both Alba and Messi were in place. The trio immediately made a smooth passing match in the left hinterland of the Celta half. Chutian's got perspective. The opponent's formation began to change. The players from Celta Tower gathered. Chutian immediately made a long pass, and the ball rolled to the ground towards Busquets, who pressed to the center circle position. Immediately, he ran to the middle of the road. Messi ran to the left. Busquets touched the ball with 1 foot. The ball was passed to Alves, who was plugged in on the right. Alves also touched the ball with 1 foot. Passed to the middle. Chutian easily stopped the ball. From God's perspective, Barca's entire formation of midfield also advanced into the heart of Celta. Celta gathered players on the left side began to disperse. Chutian passed the ball to Messi, who was retreating in the middle. "Run back to the left now. It's a lateral series." Chutian showed us what a breakthrough reverse foot winger is in the first half. As soon as the second half started, he told us. What is an organized winger? The Celta players were a bit panicked. In the second half, Barca's tactics changed too much. Chutian, in tandem with the lateral running position on the left side, gradually pressed the entire Barca formation up. They couldn't steal the ball. The foot techniques and passing lines of Messi, Alba, and Busquets, who are in tune with the Yenwa teenagers, are too good, far above the level of Roberto and Trey. In the hearts of the Barca players, Chutian changed back into the soul of Barca, and Barca's core only came to the side of the road. He just had to hand the ball to him. He will gradually decide the direction of the game. Chutian's kicking style. Kind of like Manchester City's David Silva. It's very much like. But Chutian's speed was much faster than David Silva's. Use horizontal series. Amplify the local ball control advantage and reduce the overall pass control disadvantage. It's Manchester City of Mancini and Pellegrini. Tactics against Arsenal. 55th minute of the match. Messi began to pick up speed, change direction, and shake Tyervan and Cabrera in a row. Before the other Celta players rushed up, a straight kick was sent. Messi's biography is pretty. Chutian magically appeared in the forbidden area. Left foot dashing and stopped the ball. He was very close to the goal location. The fans in the stands let out a cry of surprise. Goalkeeper Alvarez strikes out immediately. Fernandez rushed up too. Chutian's ball is very difficult to handle. The angle of the shot and the pass is blocked. Enrique frowned. Chutian is still more suitable for the middle of the road. He may not be suitable to be an offensive terminator. Eduardo's expression was solemn. Yenwa boy couldn't do the pendulum this time. No angle kick out of the arc shot. Iniesta on the bench was worried. The opposing defender would kick the ball if he broke the ball. Chutian was most likely injured. All eyes on the field were on the Yenwa teenager. The next moment, everyone was nervous. Chutian pulled the ball with his left foot. The whole person turned 180 degrees. The ball rolls to the left. Avoid Fernandez's big foot. Stomp the ball with your right foot again. The ball slides to the right. Let goalkeeper Alvarez pounce on an empty space. At this time, the football rolled on Chutian's heel. He didn't turn around this time. A gentle bump. Football rolled into the net. 3-0. Beautiful. The ball is in again. Marseille slalom with heel shot. What a gorgeous and elegant footwork. Left winger, Chutian. Hat-trick. Announce his ability to end to everyone. Episode 120. Yenhua boy creates 11 consecutive victories. Mobile phone brand endorsement from Yenhua. Barca teammates celebrated wildly around Chutian. They originally thought that the second half would be another bitter battle, but Chutian led the team to take back the possession advantage. Busquets recalls the minutes before the goal. Chutian seems to have his own system, and he can control the game in the left wing. Messi can't help but sigh. Chutian's ball quotient and vision are too strong. He can always find a way to restrain the opponent's tactics. CTV5 Live Room. The big screen was constantly replaying the goal at various angles. World number 1 left winger. I haven't seen an organized winger in years. De Bruyne, who just joined Manchester City. And Chelsea's Eden Hazard. They don't count, they're a little bit further back. You found that? No. From the time of the Champions League group stage against Roma, Chutian seemed to be taking his teammates to make tactical changes. He seems to be the head coach, always leading his teammates to crack the opponent's tactical system. Game reading ability, vision, ball quotient, indispensable. Otherwise, how can the European media say, Barca's coach can win the championship with a dog? Chelsea have a Mourinho, Liverpool have a scumbag, Manchester City have a Pep Guardiola, Bayern have Guardiola, Juventus have Allegri. Which one is better than Enrique? Come quickly during the winter transfer period. Courtside, Barca's bench cheered. 3 o'clock in a sense can be said to have killed the game. Enrique's face was embarrassed. He had just felt that Chutian did not have the ability to finish. Unexpectedly, the Yenhua teenager immediately proved himself with gorgeous footwork. The Barca boss smiled and shook his head. Without Chutian, Barca might have lost this battle miserably. The other side, Eduardo scratched his hair in distress. The ball quotient and organizational skills of Yenhua teenagers are too strong. He would actually use the lateral tandem tactic to cover up the shortcomings of his midfield teammates and directly make Zelda's middleway strangulation tactic completely down. It's now the 11th round of La Liga, and Celta are 4th in terms of points, just 2 points behind Atletico. If this game is lost, it is likely that it will be caught up by Celta and Villarreal behind. His ultimate goal this season is to lead the team to the Champions League. Only La Liga is 4th and will have the chance to play in the Champions League next season. Eduardo began to shout at the sidelines. The game reopens. The Celta players began to be impatient. Obviously, they have the advantage in the whole game. 60th minute of the match. Nolito held the ball and clashed with Alves on the flanks again. This time Roberto also assisted in the defense, and he blocked the other side's breakthrough of the inside line. Alves took the opportunity to kick out and cut the ball off, followed by a short pass with one foot. The ball came to Busquets' feet. Busquets went straight to the left side to find Chutian. After Chutian received the ball, he tried to connect horizontally again. The football was intercepted by Celta's midfielders after a few passes. Unfortunately, Barca's previous schedule was too intensive, and now in the second half of the game, the players are starting to lose physical strength. The original side organization horizontal tandem tactic has a big drawback. The physical requirements of teammates are very high. Chutian's lateral turning back running pass will also carry the rapid running of his teammates. This is clearly not suitable for Barca today. The teammates are too old to run back and forth at high speed for a long time. Unlike Manchester City and Chelsea in season 12, there is a group of undead macho men paired with David Silva and Mata. Celta regained control of the ball. They pressed Barca back. Soon a siege of the Barca exclusion zone was formed. 65th minute of the match. Nolito received Taivan's direct thrust from the right side near the bottom line. When trying to break through, he was unblocked by Matthew's big foot. The football flew out of bounds. Meanwhile, the assistant referee outside the middle circle also held up lead number plates. Barca have made 2 substitutions at a time. Correa replaced Roberto. Sanros replaced Terra. Both players are defenders. Enrique is planning to keep this 3 o'clock score. The home fans in the stands immediately erupted in boos. Barca actually set up an iron barrel array in front of Celta. Enrique abandoned their La Masia's pride and glory. On the pitch, Chutian also heard the angry rebuke of the Celta fans. He shook his head helplessly, expressing understanding. In this game in the past life, Celta beat Barca 4-1 in the main squad. The race passed minute by minute. Barca's 6-back system let Nolito, Taivan have no way at all. They have good foot technique and good passing, but facing 6 defenders in the Barca penalty area, there really can't be a little gap. Meantime, Barca also did not have the opportunity to compete for 2 penalties and play a counter-attack. Midfielders are also involved in defense. Chutian returned to the backfield, assisting in the left side of the penalty area, and he suddenly remembered that in his previous life, Enrique was in charge of Barca at the end of the period, and he really played several games like this. Ha ha ha, now Barcelona looks like Rome. Enrique still has something to do in terms of swinging the iron barrel formation, and you see Barca's current backline, it's not Messi at all. Ultimately, Barca withstood Celta's bombing for 20 minutes. Injury time ends. The referee blew the whistle. Barca kept the score of 3 o'clock until the end. Barca rely on Chutian's hat-trick. A tough win. Chutian also became the best MVP player of the whole game without suspense. We can't see a different Chutian today. Chutian, who is active in the left-wing forward position, he helped Barca start the season to 11 consecutive wins. The Celta players looked frustrated, squat on the ground. Nolito comforted his teammates. Don't be so depressed, you can see today, Barca is just like that. It's all up to the magical Yenwa boy to win. We're still in La Liga at the highest level in club history. Next season's Champions League Europa League. We still have a chance. Chutian looked back at the ambitious Nua Tianyuan. Follow the timeline of past lives. Celta did qualify for Europe next season. Unfortunately, the players have been swept up by the Giants. Nolito went to Manchester City next season to shock the Premier League. Taewine and Raider went to the Turkish super magnate, Minor Dunzan. Fernandez went to the Chinese Super League, played 2 games and was reimbursed for the season, and the annual salary was higher than the above. After the rise of a small club, several cores of the team next season will inevitably be divided by the Giants. This is the market law of European football. After a tough win, the Barca club didn't celebrate too much. The team's injury situation made the coaching staff sad. Fortunately, the next schedule is slightly less intense. Chutian got rid of the enthusiastic reporters and returned to the locker room. He first cared about Iniesta's injury. Iniesta smiled on crutches. I'm fine, little problem. The doctor said that it would be good to recuperate for half a month, and I can catch the 1/8 final of the Champions League. Everyone laughed. The Champions League draw ceremony has not yet begun. Next, 4:30 a.m. Chutian walked out of the first-team dormitory with his backpack. I saw Mino Raiola's van again. The short fat man had dark circles under his eyes and a haggard face. My Yenghua genius, forgive me, I have to delay your training again today. There are several mobile phone brands in Yenghua that are looking for your endorsement to shoot advertisements, and I have not closed my eyes for 2 nights in order to negotiate with them. I'm good at advocating for your next brand, but you shouldn't get angry. Dragon for phone. Their offer is 1 million euros for 3 years, and although the price is not very high, they only need to shoot 1 advertisement for their flagship model every year. The company's financial experts have carefully evaluated that the consumer market reputation of Dragon mobile phone in Yenghua is very good, and the commercial value is very high. Mino Raiola pulled out a quote line and a contract. Dragon for phone? Chutian smiled. It just so happened that he had been using this brand of mobile phone. The system is stable, the signal is good, and the quality is good. He nodded. No problem. Mino Raiola smiled and said, then I won't bother you with training. I'll have to go back to the car and sleep for a while. By the way, I almost forgot one thing. This time, I let the brand side arrange a female star partner for you. Chutian smiled helplessly and walked towards the training base.